Good morning and welcome to the start of the Spire Ultra 50k route. I'm about to head out and explore the first 5 kilometers of the route. With it being January, we've got plenty of residual snow and ice underfoot. Hopefully come race day in May it will at least be a little bit warmer. But without further ado, let's get out on the course and see what the first 5k has in store.
Here we go then. So the race starts with this nice downhill section on this little trail. There will be over 100 people taking part in the race usually, so there'll be lots of legs and bodies in the way of seeing the trail ahead, so just make sure to keep an eye on where you're treading on this bit. There are a few gullies where water runs down when it's wet, and a few lumps, bumps and holes along the way as we head down the roughest part of this section. The pace tends to be reasonably quick as everyone's excited to set off and we're bombing downhill, so yeah, just pay attention to how fast you're going. You should be good. So as we approach the bottom of the lane, this is the first turning on the route. We're going to turn right and head over towards the railway bridge that takes us just into New Tupton. So we're going to cross over this bridge, and then on the left hand side there's another trail that we need to keep an eye out for, so that's where we're going next. Pavement's fairly narrow there, but we just need to cross over. There is a sign just hidden in the trees and bushes there telling us there's a path to the left going down these steps. So through the little gate, and then we're just on this narrow trail at the bottom of a field. It can get quite muddy here when it's wet, and it is quite a narrow path. Goes on for a while, but then we get to the gate at the far end and we're going to turn left again up this little hill, and then we need to keep going straight ahead, ignore the turn to the left, and we're just keeping this big fence on the left and the trees on the right as we follow this towards Clay Cross. Plenty of ups and downs on the course already. This can get very wet and muddy on this section again. You can see it's all frozen at the moment. Ignore any turn-offs to the right. The GPX file you'll get for the race will take you all the way to the end of here. See why people make the little side tracks though. It does get a bit weedy at times. Some brambles and nettles occasionally in the summer. And then we join up with this farm track. Now as this farm track that we're on meets another track, we need to do almost a U-turn to the right. So just where the undergrowth ends on the right, you want to do a sharp turn. It's a bit icy today, but we're heading towards the park here. I think Clay Cross Football Club plays over there, if I'm correct. But we're just steering left and following the little trail towards the new housing estate. Quite steep this bit. I did do a little bit of walking today, just on this section. Few tree roots to keep an eye out for. Just carry on going straight ahead here. More new houses on the right as well. And we need to turn left when we get to this fence. And then we've got a nice new path. It was a bit muddier than this when I did this a couple of years ago in 2023. Bends to the right. We're basically just staying on the top of this bank, and with new houses behind the fence on our right. Keep following the path. It crosses over a couple of roads. And we should be meeting the A61 road at the far end, and this is where we're going to turn right. We're going to have to cross the main road in a second. The race director Jamie was here to guide us across when I did it, so that may or may not be the case on race day. We need to get over to the left hand side where you'll see a stile and a gate on the opposite side. It's a busy road, so there will be plenty of traffic there. And into the field. You can usually make out this little single file path across the field here. You can see it's more green than the surrounding snowy areas when I'm doing it. And we just go all the way to the end of the field and squeeze through this little gap between the post and the gate. The gate tends to have quite a lot of overgrowth around it. And we're just doing a short diagonal across to the next gate where we exit this field. If it's been wet at all around race day, this is going to be just as muddy as it looks. So thankfully we're only doing another short diagonal hop across to the next stile. And we're heading onto a very narrow path that gets really muddy. If there's been any rain, this is a slop fest. Eventually, as we get closer to the road, we're running between these fences out onto the road, and then we turn left. Just looking for a right turn into far Tupton Wood here. And then we want to run all the way through these woods to get to the road at the far end. There's a couple of routes you can take. I tend to follow the central one that's the most direct. Not sure if the GPX has you skirting around the left of the woods a little bit more, but I don't think it matters which way you go really. So I'm bearing right at that first little fork. It's the wider path that we're following. It gets to a big clearing which we want to go straight across. You'll see a stump of a tree on the far left there. Keep going past that one. Then we're bearing right at this fork. Again, can get really muddy here if it's wet. Make sure you've got your trail shoes on for this race, generally speaking. Unless it's been super dry, but there we see the gate and the stile at the far end. You'll see those little yellow circular signs on the gates just telling you where the Chesterfield round walk goes. The majority of this Spire race follows that. Not all of it, but most of it. So, over this road, straight ahead between those little yellow posts, and we're heading into another woods. So, I think the Chesterfield round walk goes straight ahead, but the GPX file takes us left. Either of them will get you to the far left corner of the woods, which is where we're aiming for. Plenty of tree roots and uneven ground here, so make sure you keep your foot in. And just like that, we're almost out of the woods. If you took the other track, you'll be coming from the right and dropping down to this gate. We just meet it head on, through we go. So this is an easy path to navigate. Between the bushes and the fence, you might have some horses in the field on the right. Just keep following this till we get to the end. As I approached the end and the next turning, I was focused on making sure we were getting a good view of the next turn and the style, and I was just thinking more about the video than the fact that I was barreling quite quickly towards an icy section of the path. Oop. Just about managed to keep my feet grabbing hold of the fence on the right. And this is really icy. Water runs down here if there's been any kind of wet weather. You can see it's frozen at the moment, which made it a bit tricky for this next section, and after my fall I was being super cautious now, sticking to the very edges of the path. It's a nice little downhill section anyway, so if it's dry this will be good. We're not far from the 5k point now. See, we cross this little bridge type thing. So then we start climbing up the far side, and this is the start of one of the longest climbing sections of the route. We'll be heading all the way up to the Matlock to Chesterfield road from here.
Here we are then, at the end of the first 5k of the Spire Ultra route. Just about to start climbing up that big hill behind me. So it's a good time to have a bit of a walk and something to eat. And then that should see you through the massive climbs that we get between here and 10k. So join me next time, we'll explore that part of the route and it'll be quite hilly. Thanks again guys, I'll see you soon.